Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode number 41 in our Oxygen Not Included Redux series. I have been dealing with an issue with Van Buren here, and I have tried everything possible, but Van Buren has passed. It's our first death in this series. Honestly, it's amazing. I made it 3,600 cycles without more. But what happened was I didn't calculate that the oxygen in our storage tank wasn't going to last the entire 30 cycles of this trip. We got about halfway back, and even with me expediting the rocket coming back, we still have 3.5 cycles, and there's just no oxygen left. There's a couple of grams of oxygen through there. There's a little bit in this suit that I kept trying to get him to put on so that we could make it through just long enough to make it, but I don't think it would have been enough anyway. And yeah, we just didn't make it. So the rocket's still on its way. It's autopiloting its way back home, and then we're going to have to bury Van Buren. Just it is how it is. We'll have a little funeral. It is unavoidable. So we're gonna let that continue go back. I got all of our water lines here finished. I just need to clean up the old ends, and this should all be working how I want it now. I think that we're doing all right with that. But what we're gonna have to figure out is a better system for oxygen, because I was thinking that these small gas canisters would be enough. These only hold 3.6 kilograms of gas. So, I mean, basically, I was thinking that would last longer than it did, but I'm not quite sure how I'm going to make a long-term oxygen system that'll fit inside the rocket. I kind of wish we could take, like, the oxidizer, the liquid oxidizer, and have one of those that empties that gas into a space inside the room and turn it into oxygen. But I don't think that's possible. I may look around and do some research and see if there's a better way to do it. But what I would like to have is a way for these rockets to stay with oxygen for 100 cycles without having to do it with an oxygen production going on inside here, because there's just not enough room. But maybe it's just not possible. Anyway, we'll let our rocket return home. We'll get everything set back up again, and we'll do some more work on it. While we're waiting for our rocket to come back, I am doing a little bit of changing here in our water tank. I've really thought about turning this water tank into an infinite water tank just for storage purposes, but I don't know that I'm going to do that since we're kind of getting close to the end of this series. It seems kind of silly to spend that much time working on it, but I did remove this wall that I had from when we had the old filtration system here, and I changed up some of the piping for this buffer tank and just cleaned it up a little bit. So we still have everything coming into this tank from our like our dirty water systems, and then it's getting fed from here down to our boiler down in the basement of the map, down in our lava zone. And we used to have like 4 tanks here. I changed it down to 1. I'm still going to leave it where it is, and I'm letting all this water settle because there was a wall here blocking it, and I don't need that anymore. So might do a little more here to clean it up, but pretty much just a little bit of changes there. We are also we just got the new update, the June quality of life update, which gave us a few new things. I don't know if I'm going to mess around with them. It has to do with the telescopes, which I'm pretty much done with in this playthrough, but it looks really interesting, the changes they've made. And there was one change that I thought was really cool. They added in this move to option, so I can pick an object and say move and pick a spot. Oh, now it's not working the way I thought it would. Move to. That's weird. Something's off with that. That's not how it's supposed to work. supposed to be able to pick that option, that object, and say move to, and pick a new place to put it. For some reason, it's not letting me do that with the plastic. It might just be a little buggy, but basically you can have the duplicates pick up objects and move them to exactly where you want now, which is a nice little quality of life change. I'm going to check on my rocket. It should be getting close to being back now if it's not back. Oh, hand was on the wrong keys. Let's check this out. So we got 36 seconds for our rocket to come in for our landing, and then we're going to have to deal with our pilot who has expired. But as I said before, nothing I could do about it. I tried everything, so that's okay. We'll take care of it. I think we need to put in a grave for our dupes to mourn at. Where would we like to do that? I think right here where I did it before would be fine. So let's go to furniture. We'll pick a, or maybe it's under medicine. Yeah, it's under medicine. And then that way we can take care of Van Buren. Sad to see him go, but we made it through 3,600 cycles without having any duplicate problems like that, so that's pretty cool. Okay, let's check this out. Looks like we're landing now. Or maybe do we need to actually make it land? Oh, here it comes. Okay, I thought I had done that correctly. Okay, so this will... One thing I want to watch is, will this pipe start working the way I planned it now that the rocket has landed? So once the rocket lands here, what we should see is, right now this water is bypassing the system because it's going this way into here and then going through. What we want to see is now this water, yep, it's doing exactly what we want. Water is now going inside the rocket to fill it back up. So we're losing water flow here until this gets filled, and then once it does, it'll come out here and it'll continue to pass on. So let's go to the interior of this rocket. Big question is the water flowing going correctly, which it is. And what is this going to do to the temperatures in here? Because the temperatures have risen slightly. The water coming in is at 14 degrees, and so when it hits these radiant pipes, we should see a quick dip in the temperatures in here. Not that there's too much temperature to handle it, but let's check out. Where's our water going? Going a little laggy here for a minute. I'm not quite sure what's causing that, but I mean, I do have a lot of pipes in here, but not enough to really cause what I'm seeing. So this ended up picking up some temperature for sure. It's coming in at 14 degrees. We want to see what kind of temperature change we see in this pipe as it goes. And then, like I said, it'll go out, it'll fill this up first, and then after it goes out, it'll go back to continue supplying the line. So we'll see a drop in the water flow through whenever we need to refill one of our systems, but it shouldn't be too much. Okay, so right now we're coming in at 14 degrees. It looks like it's picking up at least a couple degrees as it passes through. It's up to 18. Let's take a look at our temperature profile. Yeah, this is definitely you're seeing a slight cool off down here. It's going into the green really quickly. So that's good. That means it will work to do what we had intended it to with it. Supplying our system. I want to reconnect all these pipes to here because we had shut this off because we were trying to conserve oxygen. So let's put that on. So now the input pipe. Let me think how this works. Oh, there was a gas outlet here and we had taken it off to prevent the gas from coming out. So I need to go to rocketry. I need to do a gas output fitting. We need to put it back in here. Make that a high priority. And that'll start putting oxygen back into our rocket. This we had disabled. We can cancel the deconstruction. We can enable it. And this pipe, we can cancel the deconstruct of this. We can reconnect this pipe to here. Okay, so I think we corrected everything that we had changed while trying to save Van Buren. So now we just got to let oxygen build up, get this built, get this system re-enabled, and then we'll be good to go in here. Let's go down and check on our memorial. I'm going to make sure that's getting built so we can get Van Buren laid to rest. So is there an errand on this? Set this to a higher priority. We'll go back inside of our rocket. We want he's unreachable. So what does that mean? That's because vacancy only. That's because there's a suit in here. Let's undock this suit. Are you still unreachable? Oh, it's because only Van Buren can come in here. Let's change it so that everybody can come in here for now. There we go. Now we should be good. People can come in here and do the corrections they need, and they'll be able to take Van Buren and lay him to rest. I'll come back once we get all that done, and then we'll figure out what we're going to be doing for this episode. Gotten everything rebuilt inside of our rocket, and we're resupplying it with oxygen, which means that we now have oxygen here. It was a little dicey because we had to get a duplicate to come in here and get up here to repair this fitting. So they had to hold their breath while doing it. They were okay. It was fine. But I guess I could have done it by just disabling this and allowing them to come through with their suit on, but it's fine. It all worked out. So we're going to continue to get this resupplied, get it all ready to go. I'm going to have to look into figuring out what I want to do as far as our supplies of oxygen going forward, because the 3,600 kilograms didn't last as long as I had expected it to inside of our rocket. I think I need to figure out exactly what that means as far as how many days, but I think I need to have at least a large gas cargo canister in this design. The problem is that this is for my exploration. I want to be able to have the 2 fuel tanks, which makes it difficult to have any more space. But if let's look at our rocket. I think it's here where we see that. When we're calculating our remaining tiles, it's based on fuel and oxidizer. Right now we have a little more than one fuel tank full. We need to have both of them to really maximize our oxidizer, but if we only have the one fuel tank, we're only going to have 900 kilograms of fuel, which means we're only going to have... The range remaining is calculated by dividing the lesser fuel remaining by fuel consumed per tile. So if we do 56.3 kilograms of fuel per tile, and we only have 900, then our range is only going to be 16. I guess that would be okay. Maybe we should do that for this rocket, because we're just using it for exploration. Let me think about that. So what that would mean is that we can only travel 16 tiles with the rocket. But that means, yeah, that's not going to work for this rocket, because we need to be able to get to the outer edge, which is like 11 tiles away, and back if we want to explore the edges. So I think we might just have to figure something else out. We need to have the cartographic module here, because otherwise we can't go into the tiles that haven't been explored. We could pull one of these solar panels off, but I also need the battery in the solar panel in order to power everything inside the Spacefarer module. And I'm pretty sure this is 4 blocks or 3 blocks tall. But if I add the large gas canister, Let's do it over here so I can actually see. It'll show me when I try to build it. It's going to take 5. So pulling off 1 solar panel is not going to be enough to get it to fit in. We're still going to be 1 short. I'm just not sure how I can get it all to fit in the space that I have, because the nose cone definitely takes 2. These are all things that I need and I can't take off. So unless I can run this without having battery, I guess I could put a battery in here somewhere just for the time being. I don't know where I would do that. I guess I'd have to fit it into this room. I wonder if I could do that. If I could get a battery in here and have one solar panel on the outside of the ship that charges the battery. I think I tried that before and it was a little dicey, but we could at least give it a shot to see if we can get it to work. So I think I'm going to work on that and see if I can't figure that out. But while I'm doing that, I want to finish getting this rocket set up. And this one has the larger gas cargo canister. Right now, I want to look inside here. We have our gas. Let's look at our gas systems. Oh, this is... Okay, so this was been pumping gas into the tank, and now this can't pump anymore because there's nowhere for it to go, because we have 2 in here, which means we need to... Let's see. This comes up. We don't have any gas coming in. We just have gas coming from here. So what I need to do is have gas from this. We have this disconnected here. Okay, so if I connect this back to this, so gas is coming out of the storage. That'll allow flow, which means this can start going again. Okay. We basically hit the point where we had filled up the gas tank, and so there was no oxygen going out. So now I'm going to be pumping gas back out, and because it has nowhere else to go on this line, it's going to get pumped out of the ship into space, which is fine. I just want to get this down to 2 kilograms in here so that we are at a point where we're not going to have the popped eardrums anymore. And then we can disconnect this gas tank, this gas pump here, and let the system equalize to where it's supposed to be. And then this ship is ready to go and make a landing on Watano, which is where we wanted to go for this time. I need to check. Does this need to be stocked? It has a lander, so we're good with that. Inside here, we already have our steel and glass so that we can do some building there. Let's go to check out Watano. So basically, we're going to get the lander to land here. So the last thing I need to do is have a way for this system to have enough steel for me to build a rocket platform for them to land. Okay, so last time when I did that, I had... there's a couple of different ways I could do it. I had the... Where is it on here? What's it called? So the rover module is the one that it drops down a lander. Orbital cargo module is what I need. So this takes 2 height. We're going to run into the same trouble where I don't have enough space to do it. The other option that we had was I had set up the interplanetary launcher. And then that meant I had some steel packets that I had sent. We could set that system back up again. Yeah, I don't have it anywhere. So let's get that set up so that we can launch a couple of packets full of steel over to Watano so that when that rocket lands, we can have the steel we need to build a rocket platform. So we have our tasks. We want to work around on this rocket to make it a little more effective. And then we need to finish getting this rocket ready for launch, and we need to get our interplanetary launcher set up so that we can launch some steel over to our new planetoid. I set this system up a little bit before, but it was kind of temporary, and now I have made it a little more permanent. So I'm going to go through it just to show you how all this works. So I have my standard rad bolt generator system using the Weezeworts. It generates rad bolts, and then it launches them this way, providing rad bolts for our interplanetary launcher. I have power here coming from the main grid to power both of these, and then I have some supercoolant across the floor here with some drywall behind it, just to provide some material for the heat from the interplanetary launcher and the transformer to go into the supercoolant. The last time I built this, I didn't do that step, and then this was constantly breaking. This should last as long as I need it to for the launch. So the other thing I have hooked up is I ran some conveyor rail down here. You can see steel's being transported up now. We're going to dump steel into here, and it's going to be, once it has enough to launch, which we have this set to launch at 200 kilograms, it already has enough rad bolts stored up, and we have it set to Watano. So as soon as we get 200 kilograms of steel in here, it's going to launch it. And that means we'll have it land over here. While I was working on it, I let some hydrogen get in. So I had a couple launches for hydrogen over to Watano. I don't really need the hydrogen, but at least I know it works. So all we're waiting for now is for that steel to get up here and that to get launched, and then we will turn this off once we have enough over there. I should do some automation wire here, do a switch so that I can turn the launching of the interplanetary launcher on and off. As far as this wall here on this side, I have this set up specifically so that duplicants cannot go across here to get to the Weezeworts, because if they go and they stand here to supply these, then there's a chance they'll get hit in the head with a rad bolt. As it is now, they'll come down here. They never go to stand here. There's no reason for them to, and so I don't have to worry about that. But I also have automation coming here. It sends a green signal when the rad bolt storage is full. So once this has full rad bolts, it sends a green signal, which I switched into a red signal to turn this off. So this will stop sending rad bolts and collecting them until it needs them. And then once I have this installed, I'll be able to turn this off so it stops sending packets to the other planet. And then I'll have this queued up with a whole load of steel. That way we can get okay, so that shut it down. Okay, but that way we can send steel to other planets as we need to, because steel is the main thing we need to get. We need to get enough steel onto the planet's surface so that after we land with the lander, we can put down a rocket platform and quickly get the rocket down so that our duplicant has somewhere to live and breathe, because they won't have long before they run out of oxygen after they land in the lander. Our rocket is ready to launch. Our interplanetary launcher has launched steel over. I'm going to let it keep running so it launches some more while we're going. But we're ready over here. I just want to double check everything, and then we're going to launch this rocket. If we look at our interior, we have Garfield in here. Everything is set up. He has food. There's plenty of oxygen inside. The oxygen is so full in here that it's backed up a little bit, which is exactly where we want it to be. We're currently cycling some oxygen through, so every once in a while you'll see some oxygen move. That's because this pump removes enough oxygen that another bead can come out, but it gets replaced by oxygen that's in the storage tank. So we're all good. We're set there. On top of the fact that we have steel that's on the surface for when we use the lander, I also have steel and glass in here. Down in here, this is my extra Atmos suits, so that we have way too many of them in here. We'll have to fix that later. But we're definitely not going to run out of regular Atmos suits while we're in here. So the only thing we could run into a problem with is if this rocket runs out of oxygen before we are done with what we need to do there as well. My hope is that we can get it landed on Watano and get a base set up that is producing some rudimentary oxygen just to start. We'll see, but the main goal is to get our rocket platform so that as we watch the amount of oxygen we have, we can send him back before we have any problems, if that occur. So we're going to be watching this really closely just to see how it all works. But I think we're going to do that all in the next episode because we have done quite a bit in this one already. We're going to end this one up with just launching our rocket and sending it on its way. Oh, wait, hold on. This only has 6.3 tons in it. Let's cancel this storage, or cancel this launch. I think that the problem is that I had this set so that it could let the gas out when this was overpressurized, and I never turned that back off. I did just change that. So let me take a look in here. I had this pipe, excess oxygen was going out, so it was pulling out. So I think right now we have, we got to wait until we get enough oxygen back into that storage to put it in. So let's reconnect this line, because this is our line coming in from the input. And let's hook this up here. And that's going to allow us to have gas coming from our main gas storage on the colony to fill our tank back up. And we'll let that go until it gets full, and then we'll do our launch. So we'll start our next episode with launching this rocket once we're ready to do that. I just want to make sure we have the maximum amount of oxygen going with us as we can, because it may take us a while over there. So we got to get this up to 11 tons first. But I hope you enjoyed watching this episode. We'll see you in the next one, hopefully where we set up a new colony that we can get started as a more permanent base.